I understand that Cott Beverages is utilizing the Diagraph IJ3000 impulse jet inkjet coater with the 384 Trident-based printheads, and that Cott Beverages was the original beta site back in 2004 for that printhead. So if you would, please take me back to 2004 and tell me about that.
Yeah, Todd actually came up and we were looking at coating system to replace some of the coaters that we had on the lines previously that, you know, they was making messes and causing a lot of downtime. It was extremely expensive to get the heads refurbished and put back on the line. So we started working with Diagraph in order to come up with a good system for coating on our packaging so that we can better serve our customers' needs to be able to barcode and scan and manage their warehouses and packaging better. So we also looked into your IJ systems. We did some testing on cardboard. I gave Todd samples of the type of cardboard that we had. They went back, did it at speed, printed, looked pretty good at that time. So we started out putting on the beta test because they said, hey, we got this neat gizmo that we invented in the back room over here, and all right, let's put that sucker on. So,
and that's excellent. And so that printhead has been here ever since.
Actually, I've got serial number 1 and serial number 2 sitting there looking at each other across the conveyor.
Excellent, excellent. That actually is a good segue, Mike, because that leads me to my next question about, if you would, please describe your coating application as relates to the Diagraph IJ3000 inkjet printer.
Well, the ones we've got now, we started them out about 6 years ago, I guess now. Coating, we had the application of putting it on a full wraparound kayak box for 2 liter and 3 liter. Functioned pretty well at that. We basically have 2 print engines sitting across from each other on a conveyor belt and encoder on it, and when the case goes by, it gets 2 sides of it and pretty much prints whatever we want to put on there. It'll put on it.
And can you give us a little bit idea on some of the typical information that's printed? I'm guessing a barcode, product identification.
Oh yeah, we have a Julian date. Well, it depends on what our customers want, really. They determine what we have to have on there. Most of them want a best by date. They want a manufacturer code. Some of them have information as far as deposit or return or something like that, states. Most of them want the I2 of 5 or I2 of 9 code on there, and they like it to be scannable so we can ship it to them and they can scan it and pretty much say, okay, this is what we got coming in, and who it's coming from and when it was made and when it should have been shipped. And there's quite a bit of information that they like to see in that code.
Excellent. Okay. And with that, specific to the various beverages, can you give us an idea how many different SKUs that the IJ3000 would actually be keeping and printing?
Oh man, I've got, in this facility alone, well, last time I looked, we had over 740 some odd different SKUs for what we make and produce and put out.
Wow.
And you know, it fluctuates up and down 40 or 50 at a time, but in the neighborhood of between 700 and 800 is what we personally do in this plant. Those, you go in and look at the data table and the things, and it's just, I got a code. I can put a code on just about anything you want to talk about. I got something that'll describe it in there. You just flip through them.
Fantastic. Fantastic. You implemented the Diagraph system, and in the 6 years that you've had it, tell us a little bit about that and what your thoughts have been on the Diagraph units.
Well, honestly, the Diagraph was kind of one of the systems that I was able to set on the line and kind of neglect for, I mean, just to be honest about it. I mean, they started out as a beta test system, so, you know, Diagraph was in here pretty much monitoring them, but, I mean, as far as needing, you know, they're not real needy system. You don't have to have somebody standing there watching them print every minute. The guys that go by and, you know, they clean them, and that's pretty much it. Set them up. Every once in a while, when I'd start missing a dot somewhere or something, Jeff, the service guy, would come out and he'd look at it and say, "What'd you do to these things?" I said, "Run them," and we'd clean them up, and he might unstick some stuff or something that we didn't really know about or pay attention to, and off they'd go again. And now after 6 years, it's just starting to get to the point where I'm starting to look at, okay, maybe we ought to start getting a little more serious about them. And I just talked to the service group about an exchange program so they can send and get these fully cleaned like they're supposed to be, and return a couple of them. So.
And that's been 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah. So that really speaks to the longevity and the reliability of the.
For inkjet systems, it's I was pleasantly surprised.
You mentioned earlier Jeff from service. What about service from Diagraph? What's that been like in terms of the service you've received, whether it's been technical support, customer service, customer support?
As far as the customer service number itself, it's usually pretty, I mean, for the first 4 or 5 years, I didn't even, you know, every time I'd need service, I'd go, what did I do with that number? I think Jeff finally wrote it on there for me, so I got the 800 number to call. But, you know, Jeff Dill is the service guy that helped put it in, and he's pretty much been here the whole time. And I mean, he stops by every once in a while. I think he just gets lonely. I think he's probably one of the reasons why they've lasted as well as they have.
And what about future projects or packaging trends for the coating equipment, such as marking directly on the shrink film versus directly on the corrugate of the tray pack? Do you anticipate changes in your packaging that directly impacts how you would code the cases?
Well, yeah, I mean, as we're trying to cut back on the corrugate costs and the wood products and paper and things like that, yeah, we want to code on the plastic covers so we don't have to have the wood or the stickers or whatever we are doing to put on it, and we want to get away from that cost. So the next natural progression is to just go right to the outer packaging itself and get away from all of that.
And so currently you are doing a test with our non-porous IJ3000 printhead, and how has that been running?
Good. I mean, I got to go over there and look at it, make sure it's still there every once in a while. I mean, it's kind of like the last time. I mean, Bob comes by and says, "Here to check on your head." And I'm like, "I think it's still over there. Let me know if they got it turned off or whatever." And he's, "Yeah, it's there." "Okay, give me some ink."
So what you're saying is it just hasn't caused any problems. It's been running fine and printing well. And
no, in fact, we haven't really touched it. I mean, other than to put ink in it so far. I mean, but you know, give it 5 or 6 years, it'll probably need something.